I really would like to recommend that you don't overextend yourself financially this season. And when it comes to your finances, to really consider why you overextend yourself financially. Like, really think about it and understand that there's something wrong that we can't stay still sometimes. There's something wrong that we don't have a harmonious relationship with quote unquote boredom and silence and stillness. There's something wrong where our self-esteem, many people's self-esteem is hinged upon their possessions, their status, their credentials, their accomplishments. Whether you're a janitor or a doctor, all that matters is how authentic you are, how mindful you are, how considerate you are. That's what truly matters. And it's not just that is actually what matters to us, I think, objectively as human beings. Even if what matters to you in the front of your mind is credentials, is status, is a bunch of superficial crap, I would argue that deep down what human beings all want, whether they find themselves attracted to it or not, what human beings actually want is authenticity, mindfulness, consideration, decency, reciprocation of meaningful energy, meaningful dialogue. That's what we want. We want a vulnerable person in our life. We want a transparent person in our life. We want a reasonable person in our life. We want an aware, mindful person in our life. That's the kind of people that everybody wants in their life, even if they don't realize it until it's too late. That's what it's not even about what you want, that's what you need. That is what you need. And yet, so many remain so profoundly unfulfilled and lost, spending their way, trying to buy their way into heaven on earth, so to speak. Many just remain lost because they bought into what man has sold, this notion that man has sold them, that you're worthy only if X, Y, and Z. And the X, Y, and Z is materialistic as hell. It's superficial as hell. It's concerned with appearances. It's concerned with things that are hollow when you really scrutinize them. It's not organic enough. It's not human enough. It's not human enough. And I really I really dare conflate the richness of humanity with that thing everybody is pursuing, which we call spirit, the spiritual. We we now worship at the altar of stuff. We now worship at the altar of the illusion of amazingness, as opposed to the actuality of somebody being amazing. People are defined by the wrong things. And then even the people, I'm not even mad at, let take somebody that is profoundly superficial and materialistic. I'm not even mad at the materialistic, shallow person that is completely indulgent in it. Who I'm more so mad at is the people that get suckered into thinking there's anything worthwhile there, that there's anything worthwhile there. It all inevitably leads to hollowness. It all inevitably leads to emptiness. Don't you want to have your midlife crisis right now? Don't wait. Don't. So many people wait too long to really unplug into it, to really declare, confess. I have the people in my life for the people in my life for all the wrong reasons. I have pleased people for all the wrong reasons. I have pursued and been attracted to people for all the wrong reasons. And they've been attracted to me for all the wrong reasons. And that's why there's such discombobulation and confusion and tension and stress. Don't you hate sweeping things under the emotional rug? There's nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse than not being able to truly speak your mind, not being able to truly speak your heart. But that's also because Then we look at the people in our lives, they're like, yeah, they're the problem, they're the problem. But that's also because many people do not confront themselves first and foremost. They acknowledge, I am the problem. It all starts with me. I have to be vulnerable. I have to be transparent. I have to be considerate. I have to be mindful. Whether or not everybody around me is toxic as hell, I have to live up to these standards. I have to live up to these expectations. That's something that people it's very difficult for them to declare because we're all spoiled. And that's another thing that we don't want to talk about. We're spoiled, including me. I aspire to fight my spoiledness at every turn because it's so easy to forget that things could be that things are for millions of people, that they're so much worse than you could ever imagine, that their fight and their circumstances are awful. It is very difficult to remember that, and as a result, our head goes up our ass and we think we're deprived. We feel so deficient. We feel so deprived. And on top of that, that's how these kids get spoiled as hell too, man. You look at them and you think, oh, they're just so deprived because they don't have this and have that. Dude, if they got food, shelter, water, resources, the internet itself, that is something in and of itself. The issue is that we're all so desensitized. We act less is more. That's something I've been saying in my mind and my heart to try to really get myself to become even more withdrawn from worldliness, from looking at my phone, from looking at anything. I'm trying to seek boredom. It's not good that I can't open a book. It's not good that when I open a book, there's a restlessness that occurs. That's no good, because under different circumstances, a book would be the most stimulating and rewarding thing ever. It's all relative. It's called I call it the standard of stimulation. If I were to put you in a room for 5 days, and then I gave you, let's say, one meal every day. I gave you a meal with, say, salmon, potatoes, and broccoli. You had water, but that's literally it. Nothing. I fed you, I hydrated you, and you were in a room for 5 days straight. On day number 6, if I were to slide a book under the door, you would pick that book up, you would read that book, and that book would be the most entertaining thing you have ever read in your life. Why? Because your mind is now recalibrated into being much more receptive to something that is so quote unquote boring, such as reading. But what that showcases is that relativity of what's stimulating is our minds are susceptible to being calibrated and to being desensitized to the point where it seems like something is boring. It seems like something is not worth doing. But that is because we have spoiled, quite literally, our senses to the point where it's no different than those who need higher doses of certain drugs, higher doses of coffee, higher doses of heroin, higher doses of coke. It's the exact same thing. It's how we're wired, man. We get used to anything, and we need more of that thing because we're very easily desensitized. It's that simple, but it's not that simple because it is excruciatingly difficult to snap out of it, especially when everyone is an enabler. Everybody is an enabler. Everyone. We all co-sign on each other's indulgence in nonsensical, empty, malnourishing stimulation. Including me. We're all enablers of it. And so, how can you snap out of something which is co-signed by literally everybody? It requires that. That's why I'm such a fan of the religious muscles. No matter your view on religion, it doesn't matter, because the reason why religion speaks to us in any way is because there's something within us that has those particular muscles to begin with. We have that particular kind of circuitry to begin with. There's something in us that is receptive to, quote unquote, what one would call religious values. And it's not about what religion you're talking about. It's about those values that revolve around the intangible, that revolve around peacefulness, stillness, surrender, gratefulness, appreciation, consideration, love. Those ego death, letting go and letting something deeper and more tranquil and harmonious inside of you take the wheel. But it's an exercise. And I understand that for many people, the best way to access all of those factors that I just mentioned is through the vehicle of a traditional religion. But I don't believe that a traditional religion is required to strengthen those muscles and to activate that portion of our mind and our body and our soul. It's just that it's already so established and it's already so popular that it is a lot of people's best bet. But that religiosity, the heart of it all, moving, interacting with the world, with your heart, with your soul. But people, again, they always warp it, because then people become so lovey-dovey where it's like, it's just too pacifistic and it's absurd. It's about the balance and the sensibility, and it's about to each his own as well. But my view, ultimately, at bottom, is that life is a fight, whether we like it or not. And even if many of us don't have to fight day after day, it's because of the millions of people that have fought before us. And it's because of the millions of people that still fight. It's a fight to do your damn job. It's a fight to be a decent person. It's a fight to not slap somebody across the damn face. It's a fight. It is a fight, because to be human is to be, whether or not you agree with this, a sophisticated animal. We are sophisticated animals, in a highly sophisticated animals, and it is difficult to be a human. It is difficult to be centered. It is difficult to remember what's important. It's all difficult. It is all hard, which is why I'm just such a tremendous fan of preventative measures and talking about it before it gets to that boiling point, before it gets to the red zone. We got to talk more. We got to speak we got to tap into that part of us that cares about something much more meaningful. And we got to acknowledge that we're all going to die. That's the other major part that I failed to mention as well when it comes to what all religions tend to touch upon, and why those religious muscles are important. It prepares you for death. It's another way to prepare you for the fact that existence is temporary, existence is uncertain, existence is mercurial and precarious. And so a lot of us are running away from death, in a sense. That's also why our perspective isn't ideal, because we're not acknowledging how powerful of a truth that is, that we're going to die one day, and what that one day might be tomorrow. Therefore, how should we be? Therefore, who should we interact with, and how should we interact with them? What should be our concerns? What should be the way in which we want our children to be raised? What is the way what is the quality of our friendships and our bonds? What's important? That's ultimately what it means. What's actually important? Not what's important in a framework of luxury, but what's important unconditionally. Peace and blessings, y'all.